who rode with me for the last few years, and I'd like to tell a little bit of the background behind it. Here to help me is our merch gal, Emily. So say hello to Emily, everyone. She'll be there at the merch table after the show, and with these pictures as well. So in 2016, I went to China for my first time. And, yes. And while I was there, we went to an orphanage. And this wasn't just an ordinary orphanage, it was an orphanage that took in kids who had life-threatening illnesses. And we got to spend time with these kids and just meet them. And I have a couple of pictures of the kids we met. If you can't see it very well from back here, they will be at the merch table with Emily after the show. But this little girl's name is Little Snow. And she was not even 2 years old when I met her, and she had a congenital heart disease. And so she was getting ready for another open heart surgery that she needed. She had already had a couple. And I was just so amazed that this little girl was fighting for her life. And she was doing it by herself. She didn't have a family to worry about if she made it out okay through a surgery, let alone if she even got a surgery that she needed. She was alone. And I was just it really left an impression on me, this little girl. She had a really sweet spirit to her. And then there was a little boy, I don't remember his name, so I just call him the little boy in green. He had a green shirt and green cast on. And we were in the nursery playing with the kids, and he was just in the corner, and he was crying and crying and crying. And so I went over to check on him, and I knelt down, and I was like, "Are you okay?" And he just looks at me with his tears running down his cheeks, and he just throws his arms around me, and he rests his little head on my shoulder, and he just kind of sinks into my arms, and he stops crying. And in that moment, I had never met him before that moment. And I realized, man, these kids, they just want to feel loved. They don't have their families to give that to them. They don't have someone to comfort them. They need comforting. And yeah, they have the nurses there, but they have so many kids in every room that they need to take care of there. And I just thought, what can I do for these kids? I don't know how to cure their diseases. I don't know why their families are gone. But I can at least be a platform for them so that their voices can be heard. And so that's why I partner with this organization called Holt International. You might have heard, thanks Emily, you might have heard about Holt before. What Holt International does, basically they help orphans find homes. And they also prevent kids from having to become orphans. They help families that are unstable to become stabilized. A lot of these kids don't have to become orphans, but their parents don't feel like they have any other choice. So here's one of the kids, Chonati. He's from Thailand, and he's an orphan. And you can go to the table, and they're from all over, different parts of Asia, different parts of Africa, different parts of South and Central America. And you can read their story, what program they're in, and a little bit about who they are. Now, what am I asking Washington to do? I'm not asking you, okay, everyone, go and adopt a kid. Yes. Are you in the market? Get set? That's not what I'm asking. But what I am asking is for your help to sponsor these kids. What Holt does, yes, they find homes and help stabilize these families, but in the meantime, these kids need food, shelter, and education. And for basically a little over $1 a day, you can sponsor a kid. And it's a pretty neat thing. Money. Okay, $1 a day, David, adds up. That's money. And that's a bit of a sacrifice. But that's what I'm inviting you to do, is to make a sacrifice a small sacrifice to help someone and lift another child. These are kids. You know, they don't, a lot of these kids don't know how to help themselves. But we can be the difference in their lives. I'm a big believer that by small and simple things, great things can happen. And you don't have to be a president of a company. I'll just give one more example. My sister, she's 19. She works at an ice cream store. She doesn't make a lot of money. Yes, ice cream. Ice cream sandwiches, to be exact. She doesn't make a lot of money, but she decided to sponsor a kid. I thought, Amber, I didn't ask her to do it. She just did it. And so, Amber, what made you decide to do that? And she said, well, I looked at it this way. I could go out and eat with my friends a few times in the week. I could buy a new pair of shoes this month. Or I could save that money and I could sponsor a kid. And I thought that was a really neat way to look at it. Sacrifice brings a joy that you can't experience any other way. It's a uniqueness, a joy you feel. I learned that on my mission. I learned that I sponsor a kid as well, along with my sister. It's just a neat experience. So I invite you guys to take a look at these kids. You can visit Emily, she can answer questions, and to sponsor these kids and make a difference. I've gotten to meet some of these kids who've been sponsored. It is so cool. So they'll be with Emily there afterwards. Thanks, Emily. This next song I'd like to do as in tribute to those kids, like Little Snow and The Boy in Green and Shauna T. To kind of, you know, what we're trying to do is to send them hope, even from afar. To send them love, even from afar. And sometimes it's hard to feel hope and to see hope in our lives. I think that goes for all of us. And I wrote a song about that. I love to look at the sky, the clouds, the sunsets, and at nighttime the stars. And whenever I see the stars, I just feel so small in this vast universe that we're in. Billions of stars when you look up at the sky. But when I do that, I feel like I belong in this. I have a place, even little me, in this huge universe and in this life. And sometimes I receive answers when I'm just looking up at the sky and thinking. I feel like there's more out there for me. There's more to this life than we can see. But what's interesting about the stars is you can only see them, well, I mean, with the exception of the sun. That's technically a star, you know, but the rest of the stars, you can only see at nighttime. And I thought, isn't that interesting? We go through night and dark times of our life. They're dark, rough times we go through. But I feel like sometimes the signs that we need to see, we can only see during those dark times, like the stars. And no matter how hard of a time you may be going through, you might see that those signs that you need to keep going to help you know that another day will come. The sun will rise again. So here's a song about that, and it's called Aiming for Hope. The more you can see it, when you're alone and don't know when the night will end, just remember it's never too long, so hold on, 'cause there's always a ray of, there's always